making sure that we're able to make every single solitary person eligible for what I've been able to do with the COVID. Excuse me, with dealing with everything we have to do with. Look, if we finally beat Medicare.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump?
Well, he's right. He did beat Medicare. He beat it to death, and he's destroying Medicare.
All right, so that was one of the better moments during the debate on Thursday night, pointing out the contrast between Trump, who cognitively has no issues, and Joe Biden, who couldn't get out. The time limit on the responses saved Joe Biden there. And then Trump had one of his better moments with that reaction to Biden's rambling, confused, jumbled statement there. Want to welcome in Dr. Frank Contessessa, who's joining us in studio. We had you on a couple times before the debate, Dr. Frank, just to talk about sort of the contrast between what we've seen from Biden in the past, you know, this jacked up Joe Biden that we saw at the State of the Union, and then what we could expect to see last Thursday night. What was your expectation heading into the debate on Thursday versus what we actually saw from Joe Biden?
Well, thank you, Rob, and it's so great to be in studio with you guys today. So, you know, my expectation was that he was probably going to be able to perform well, at least moderately well. And we'd seen that in the past, the State of the Union, and these big moments when he has to kind of rise to the occasion. He's shown that a lot of times he can.
Right.
So I was really kind of taken aback by the performance during the debate. It was really striking. And I think it was more in line with what we've been seeing on a regular basis when he's not in those big moments. For me, I think the difference with this appearance, with this debate, was, number one, the time of day. It was late at night. We often see him during the day, during daylight hours. It was late at night. And the second thing is he was off prompter. He was without notes. He was without prompter, left on his own devices. And I think we see just how much he gets off track when left on his own.
Right.
One thing the White House said, well, he had a cold. So that's why he had one of the reasons why he had a bad night. But I just watching it, and when President Trump would speak, I would see him just stare at President Biden. Just what do you make of that? It's almost like that hollow stare. Is that a sign of anything?
It sure is, Allison. And I noticed the same thing. When Trump was in between, he was on the split screen. He was either looking at the moderator or looking at President Biden, watching what he was saying. President Biden was sort of staring off. He wasn't looking at the moderator, was over here. He was looking off to the left. It is a sign, and you typically see this with dementia patients, and I think it really backs up what we've been talking about for 2 or more years.
Yeah, people make mistakes during a crisis, and the White House is in full-on panic mode right now. And this kind of got missed yesterday, but it was White House aides who, according to Axios, said that Joe Biden is effectively with it from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Dr. Frank, to me, that is a tacit acknowledgement that Joe Biden is dealing with some form of dementia. It's called sundowners, when you're effective from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Do you see that as well? And to me, this was a huge mistake from the White House, because they are acknowledging that you don't, look, I'm tired after 4 p.m., but it's because I get up at 3 in the morning, but I'm still with it mentally for the most part. Not the case with Joe Biden, and the White House acknowledged that. So what's really going on clinically? And we know you haven't treated the president.
I agree with you, Rob. And yeah, every time I talk about these things, I always try to throw in a disclaimer. I've certainly never examined the president, but I am a physician, and I have eyes, and I can observe what we're all observing. It is called sundowning, and you see this with multiple forms of dementia. They can be more coherent, more oriented during the day. And it seems to be, it's the darkness hours, it's once the sun goes down, there's a disorientation, there's a confusion, and I think we saw that really in the spotlight during the debate.
Yeah, look at this right there. Look at his face. Yeah. Look, it was so uncomfortable. And the problem is, I don't feel bad. They foisted this guy on us in 2020, and Dr. Jill is doing everything in her power to make sure. She's not a medical doctor, by the way. She's got a EDD in education from the University of Delaware online. These are what we've heard over the last several days. Parkinson's, Parkinsonian dementia, Alzheimer's, Lewy body dementia. What are you seeing?
Sure. And I see aspects of all of those to some degree. And again, without being able to do any examination or investigation, I'm just relying on my observations. But he definitely has some form of of dementia as far as I can see. Alzheimer's, Lewy body dementia, they're similar that they're caused from buildup of abnormal proteins in the brain. They have a lot of things in common, but I also see signs of Parkinson's. That expression that you just pointed out, when you see that blank stare and sort of they call it a mask-like face. It's a mask-like face. That's evidence of Parkinson's. The stiff gait, when you see him walking from the helicopter, very stiff. His hands, you see his hands like this.
Yeah.
Those are signs of Parkinson's.
Just quickly, is there cognitive impacts with Parkinson's as well? Or is it just
Absolutely,
physical?
Rob. There's something called Parkinsonian dementia.
Okay.
It is a form of dementia that looks like Alzheimer's, but it happens to go along with Parkinson's. People always just think of Parkinson's as tremors. There's much more to Parkinson's than just tremors.
Dr. Frank, so nice having you in studio. Great to be with you this morning. And thank you so much for breaking that down.
Thank you.
Over the last 10 days, this has been fascinating and really sad to watch this play out. But just to put a loop on it, you think he was worse than you expected Thursday night?
Worse than I expected.
Yeah, me too. Me too. All right, Dr. Frank, thank you. Lots more.